Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. I am reviewing Revolution X for the Saturn. Now, a lot of people don't know, but if you're going to be playing this game, there's a cool little tidbit that everyone needs to know, and that is you take the controller that you're going to be playing with, and you put it in the toilet, and then you piss on it, and then you flush it, and then you just keep flushing until you win the game. That is how you play it. Now, if you've got a 3D controller, however, it's a little bit different. What you have to do is you need a pair of tongs and a friend who can keep a secret, okay? And then you just shove it up each other's asses and then just wiggle about until you win the game. And that is how you play a Revolution X for the Saturn. I can't talk about any of the other ports for the other consoles, but for the Saturn exclusively, that is how you play it. You're welcome. People seem to have an affinity for this game. I never played it in the arcades, and maybe that's where the divide comes in. Maybe this was a fun, exciting game in the arcades. This game was originally released in the arcades in 1994, and then onto a flood of consoles. The SNES, Mega Drive, PC, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn. And the Saturn version is the version we'll be looking at. To begin with, the game was developed by a separate company for the Saturn, Software Creations, which is dead scary and, to be honest, a bit fucking bewildering that another company would do this if this is how it's going to turn out. The story features Aerosmith, and no, not just as the soundtrack, but as an integral part of the plotline where you go to see them play and they're captured by the New Order Nation. Whenever I hear New Order Nation, I keep thinking of this. So, you've got to go and save Aerosmith, making this whole band some kind of damsel in distress? I don't really know what they were thinking, but all I can confirm is that I get the weirdest boner. New Order Nation have banned all types of fun, magazines, music, movies, books, etc., including the fun you're supposed to have in this game. The game features these little FMVs which are quite frankly eerie as fuck, and I honestly get a little scared. I have no rational way to explain it, but the lack of background sound is just so creepy. It says music is the weapon on the front cover. That should be another clue that this game is not going to be the amazing title it sets out to be. Rock Band, Guitar Hero, Audio Surf, Patapon, and Lumines are shining examples where music is any type of weapon or main game mechanic that was successful. As time goes on, we're going to have more shining examples given to us through indie titles such as Super Hexagon, but this is not how you go about it. Menu presentation's not bad, and before you play the game, it does lead you into this false sense of security. Like the game's not as bad as you remember it. Or maybe it might be alright after all. Maybe Carter has it wrong. An in-game presentation is, well, could have been better laid out. They're not bad and could have definitely looked better. You know what? No. I take that back. In-game presentations laid out pretty poor using colours that are either mismatched or dull. The graphics are blocky, textured bollocks. The recommendation given to me from a friend was to buy it as a joke. Except, it was too hard to understand it because he had 6 dicks in his mouth and was laughing too hard to even finish the sentence. Not sure who got the last laugh. Like I said in the presentation portion of the review, colours are dry, mismatched and dark. Your enemies run at what looks like 4 very stilted frames. The blood looks like strawberry jam that's so rough that it's clear that this was not some port from superior hardware. It feels more like they ported it from a far less capable console like the SNES originally, and then ported it from the SNES and tried to make it look better along the way and failing at every point. Sound is the only upside. This is a rest from the grilling the rest of the game is gonna get. I know people will dislike the fact that I don't like this game when they have such fond memories, but the only memory that's crossed over well and has been ported successfully is the music, and even then, it's not as amazing as you remember it. You have a select Aerosmith soundtrack, and it doesn't sound like complete balls. But the Aerosmith part is only in parts of the game. The rest of what sounds like Aerosmith, and I guess it could very well be, sounds like a weak B-side they never released. You get Eat the Rich and Love in an Elevator, which is all very cool in bits of the game. But then there's these whole bits where it's this generic rock that's so faceless, if it was Aerosmith, it's too hard to tell. It's not like 16-bit sound was put into this game, it sounds like they went with CD audio, which is a really nice move. Sound effects though are pretty fucked, with whoosh sounds and whir sounds that couldn't sound more out of place, and are pretty grinding. Gameplay is amazing. Amazingly bad. No light gun support, which would have saved this game in a very big way. If the gameplay was even half decent, all could be forgiven. But the controls are as sloppy as nanoporn. If I press left, it slides about 2 inches to the left. If I hold down right, it slides about 2 inches to the right. But let's just say the guy's a smidge to the left. I gotta tap left a bunch of times to make it go where I want. By that time, 4 more enemies have come onto the screen to fuck my shit. The gameplay itself is fucking mundane, with all the enemies looking the same. You'll get bored with it very quickly, and the challenge is simply a numbers game, not because the AI becomes harder. No. The levels are largely uninspired as well, pulling us from scene to scene with very little coherence, and a dull atmosphere that lacks any real interest. It gives us a sense of urgency, but that's purely because we're on rails. And the game suffers from slowdown when there's a lot of enemies on screen, which is all of the time. Replay value is also bad, with just a single multiplayer option and nothing else. You play through it once, and you're done. Would I recommend this game? It has an amazing soundtrack in parts, and an eerily campy FMV that strikes a chord with me. Short of that, everything else is just so fucking dreadful. I read that all of the ports of this game were so bad that it prevented Midway from doing a sequel. It has to be one of the worst shooters on the Saturn, and I haven't even played them all. So this is an absolute no. Just no. Don't buy it. Walk away. Even collectors don't need this shit. If you want to have a port of this game, I don't know if you ever will find one that's worth owning, but if it's out there, it's certainly not on the Saturn.
If you're watching this, then they've taken over. It's up to you now. Find our car and stop the New Order.